welcome back. I'm Gamer Becka.
I'm Gamer Lynn.
And we are 10 times 10. So I believe this is going to be episode 4, question mark?
Yep.
Of our podcast.
I believe so. I'm banking on it. It's 4.
Something like, yeah.
It's 4. if it's 4 again, then it's double 4.
Right? It's four.
It's second 4.
Second 4. You're so confused trying to listen to these things in order. It's like, what is second 4?
Second 4.
Really?
Think of it as like second edition of Pathfinder.
What?
Which, by the way, we have a Twitch. Or not Twitch. We don't have a Twitch yet.
Yes,
we have a TikTok.
No,
we do have a Twitch?
Yes, I made a Twitch for us.
Oh my God.
A long time
we haven't
ago.
used it yet. But all right, cool. So we do have a Twitch.
But
and we have a TikTok.
We made a TikTok.
And we're active on TikTok.
We got 4 videos.
Woo!
Woo!
TikTok stars now.
Wait, what? We didn't. How did we become stars already? Anyways, so I've been making little shorts based off of some of the new releases that have come out in the Pathfinder 2nd edition Lost Omens Mwangi Expanse book that has come out recently. So, yeah.
Dope book. If you ain't got it already, go and get it.
Also, thank you, Paizo, for retweeting us. You're awesome.
You noticed us, Senpai.
Senpai noticed us. I'm so happy. Okay, yeah. So if you want to follow us on TikTok, it's 10 times 10 100. You can actually follow us at basically all of our social medias at 10 times 10, all written out, 100. So yeah, all that fun stuff.
All right.
Let's jump on in here.
So what we got on the agenda first?
Agenda G4, Attack of the Show, and before G4.
All right. So for those of you that are not familiar with the past G4 channel / broadcast, there was a nerdy broadcast channel. I forget what was it. I forget the channel what it was called. I think it was like Entertainment Channel or it was something along those lines, or Tech Channel or something like that. Anyway, they took a gamble on G4, which was a broadcast that basically represented everything that was nerdy at the time. I believe they started either around somewhere late 90s to the early 2000s. And they did a lot. Like, they had the popular show of Attack of the Show, X-Play. Those probably their 2 most popular shows. Granted, though, they would try to wing out to different other things. But either way, channel went for a very long time. They were also closely associated with American Ninja.
American Ninja Warrior.
And Cops and Cheaters and all these other different shows that would just rebroadcast after their broadcast was done. So usually you knew you missed the show that day if you saw, there would be a streamline of Cheater episodes or Cop episodes or American Ninja Warrior, and it's like, okay, I missed it. And then might rebroadcast it a little later on in the day, all the way up until it was just gone. It kind of left the void because nothing else on television or cable really filled that void since then. Like, you got a couple things here and there as far as Toonami, of course, always did their thing of showing, Japanese cartoons and different movies and things like that. And that helped the genre and, nerdom and stuff. But nothing like G4 has came across again. Until YouTube, of course, got really, really big, and that basically became the platform for a lot of people and personalities to continue reviewing video games, reviewing pop culture and the entertainment and nerdy industry. Well, now G4 is trying to make a comeback. And by trying, I'm saying is basically right now they're in a kind of a, I don't know what you would call it, kind of like a building mode. I think they're in a place where they're trying to figure out what does this new G4 look like? What does it do? How do we not only develop it and create it and get the content out there, but how do we keep going forward?
Yeah, make it last.
So they even, instead of delaying, because again, I think they announced it like maybe late 2019, and then of course 2020 happened as well, which possibly put a couple of halts in their plans as well, as kind of like, what do we do? We're not quite there yet. oh, well, we'll do a thing called Before G4, where we basically not just stop and have no announcements or show anything. We just allow the talent that is ready to proceed to make videos on their own time or at the schedule that we can set up. And as we're developing things, and we just keep the audience included, and we make the announcement of new acquired talent, new ideas that were coming out, or when shows start, this is how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And as an old fan looking at this, I'm hyped. I'm very excited. One, because again, G4 is coming back, and along with it, some of the familiar faces I recognize personally are coming back with it, in the forms of Adam Sessler and Kevin Pereira. Also, too, though, I'm a little excited as well on the other end because there's new talent I've never seen before, which means it's getting almost an overhaul look and an overhaul chance to become something more than it used to be. Which some of it doesn't speak to me, or at least the way I would like it to, but doesn't make it bad either. So, with all that said, Becky, you don't have the same knowledge as me as far as G4, but I've told you things, or, you know, nerded out with you on a few occasions about what this is, but you've seen firsthand yourself what they've been doing so far. What do you think?
So far I like it. It's so funny because when we first started watching like the blank esports show, it's a bad word. I was weirded out at first. I was like, what in the world? But then like it grew on me after a while. I really like Ovely and oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. The one with
Frost?
Frost. There we go. Yes. I really like them and their dynamic. They're fun. And then some of the people that they get on there to kind of like do the news stuff with them are kind of weird. But at the same time, like it's not gonna be like everybody's like cup of tea. But I also think too it's plucking like from different areas of like the Twitch like sort of like fandom as well, so that they can see like some of their favorite creators like, oh look, they're working with G4 and everything like that. So but yeah, it's fun. I think my favorite right now is Adam Sessler. Just because like his confidence and kind of like sense of humor is just like really clicked with me. And I really like the way he presents things and explains things, and then also is like kind of like sarcastic and makes like his little jokes and things like that too. I think they all do that though, so, which is just fun. I like it so far. I also think that the CEO, his like kind of like flailing about and just being like
see, now that's the part I don't like.
I think it's funny. It's just
like granted, I think he's actually an awesome person and actually is a great persona. I think it's just the problem with him for me is that again, he's a figurehead leader or CEO, which probably doesn't mean anything in the true background of things, but he kind of makes it lighthearted of the whole situation of kind of not knowing what he's doing, but at the same time too, he's in charge kind of thing, which makes it playful, makes it fun, but
he's like always stressed out.
He's always stressed out, but at the same time too, it makes me stressed out because my experience is that yes, G4, when I thought it was very successful and it was going very good, even though I think it did reach a point, even in my mind, where it's like, okay, how we're going to expand this? How do we keep going forward, or make this more content, or make it longer, or growth? And it didn't happen. Instead, it shut down, and that's what makes me scared every time I see him, because it almost sounds like, oh my god, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
It's gonna happen again.
And it's gonna happen again. G4 is gonna go away, and it's gonna break my heart.
Right, I got you. Exactly. I got you. And I think also because I don't have that experience, I'm way more like, ha ha.
That's funny.
And he's just like, no.
Yeah, I'm like,
don't drop it.
Don't break G4 again. Either way, G4 right now is in the phase still. I don't know if it's gonna be ending soon. Hopefully, and not expectantly, it will probably end soon.
The before G4?
Yeah, before G4.
And then just become G4. Got you.
But at the same time too, I'm in no rush.
Mm-hmm.
They take as much time as they need to set up their studio, to figure out, okay, how this is going to work, that works to this end. And even then too, I imagine another big factor for them is how do we make money or get bigger and stuff like that. Because even right now, I'm not too sure of their game plan as far as, okay, when G4 becomes finally developed, does the platform change? Like, do they go from YouTube little vignettes to like, do they go to a full-on broadcast like they used to on a channel somewhere?
Interesting.
Because that was my whole expectation of G4 back in the past, was that they would grow not only being a segment of a broadcast on a television show or channel, but they will become a channel themselves.
Yeah.
To where around the clock you will have, something going on as far as, we got a stream of this Twitch player, or we got, video game news coming in at you, or we've got a review, we've got... So... Especially now, in this day and age, that could totally work and happen, because literally, you got tons of streamers, you got ton of video game news that happens almost around the clock all the time. From, so-and-so bought so-and-so to literally, this company can't cover the payment they got to pay for this actor whose face that they use. There's tons of stuff always happening all through the day. So it's like, reality today is you can have around the clock 24/7 channel that is just around nerdom. It's very possible because it's already there.
So by channel, what do you mean exactly? Like, do you mean like on cable, like channel, or do you mean like what they're doing now, as in like YouTube channel, Twitch channel?
And see, even that dynamic has changed now too. Because does it make sense to go to a cable channel?
I feel like it doesn't.
In a day and age where literally you could just have a YouTube channel. Yeah. And be way more plausible. It's hard to say because, again, even myself, I've gone... I think cable is dead. And it's just like a matter of time before everything becomes a streaming service that has to figure out a way to become a package deal streaming service, which is almost idiotic and to say because that's what cable was. It's basically just a platform of taking these different lines of companies and broadcasts and put them together into a package deal. Now you have streamers that are probably going to have the same ordeal happen to them. So I don't know. It's really up in the air right now. You almost have to just go with what's popular and what's happening. Yeah. Which I think is like constantly kind of like ever evolving and whatnot, which is why I think they're trying to touch upon all of like the basically kind of like the mainstream social media pulses and seeing, before G4, like what is going to work, like, so. Because I even think down the line too, that's what G4 could have probably did before, but maybe just there was just not enough fandom or following into the market like there is now with nerdy stuff that they couldn't find a buyer or they couldn't find somebody, which now I think they really could. And now it's just a matter of have somebody that deals with more of the business aspects or deals with the money aspect be able to handle how that goes, so that way the artists, the performers and stuff can just focus on what they're doing. Because I think that was a problem before. G4 was a channel with a lot of artists, a lot of this, a lot of that, as far as making content, but not enough business savvy to keep it afloat. Oh, I see. And especially too, even into businesses didn't look into things like that as an aspect of, that'll stand the test of time, or there's a following there for that. But now, yeah, they are catering to us. Yeah, people clearly see that. People clearly see the entertainment value into comic books, into video games, into all that stuff,
all the different nerddoms.
And now they want to get on the ground running. Yep. Even into you got people that are coming into business who are lifetime fans of these things that are going, no, this is where the money's at. Yep. So yeah, it's definitely a new day and age as far as G4 coming back into the fold.
So I honestly believe that, especially if they continue to do collab work across the board and just kind of like because it'll be really fun to see like, oh, who's gonna be next, that sort of thing, because I think that's another thing that kind of keeps it fresh and fun, is like, oh, let's see if another one of my favorite creators is gonna be on there or something like that.
Yeah.
Like maybe not necessarily like taken into the G4 family, but just there as like a little like spotlighted thing of
that's why we're really like, it's like
collabing. There we go.
Yeah, collabing. It's like, because I know G4 has a finite amount of money.
Oh,
they can
sure.
only have so many people join in. Even though
Budgets.
I think like anybody that's just a low end creator, or or just getting into it or whatever, would love to sign a deal with G4 for whatever amount of money, because I think the money is good on one end, but the publicity that you can gain from
exposure
it is totally just like that will last you a lifetime.
For sure, yeah.
And I think that's what G4 could really do for a lot of different creators and content people, or even people for work.
Yeah. And I also like that they are aware, like so aware of like the like all the generations and that sort of thing, all the different generational gaps and whatnot, and are just kind of like mindful about that, which is really fun. And I think that's another thing that keeps me interested, is just seeing the dynamics between like the old and the new. So, and I kind of do wish that I had this nostalgia that you have in a way, because it's like, oh man, everybody's got all these fond memories and stuff and everything, and I'm like, I just like got like FOMO, like fear of missing out type thing, or like just like I missed out on this whole like cool thing that they used to do. But at the same time, I don't have all these like, I'm glad that I don't kind of have like these like biases or expectations when coming into it as well. So having a fresh perspective is kind of cool, and that sort of thing. So yeah,
so that's why I think in the end, they don't have to be, or like, I don't know. I imagine people like me are thinking the goal is, getting it back to what G4 used to be on a broadcast channel of cable and stuff like that. And I don't think it has to be that.
No.
I think if you can get on as many platforms as possible to gain exposure as much as you can, and get people on board, it will keep G4 going longer.
You know what?
So that way you can adapt in any kind of way.
You know what I think that they could totally do, like, is maybe like once a year or something like that, do it like a 24-hour stream with like all of their like different like personalities and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe make it like a charity stream or something like that. But yeah, like a once a year thing where it's just like, hey, we gonna get everybody in here and it's gonna be for a whole 24 hours.
This is your time slot.
Yeah, it's like,
and then you get to
it's
play
gonna
with
be endless G4.
And that way you get to play with, okay, how did people react to this?
Yeah.
Like, actually, there's a gateway to make this a 24-hour thing.
Yeah, because you've got so many different like personalities and that sort of thing. And I mean, like, honestly, like you could like, switch between games, switch between just like talking about like crazy stuff, like doing like weird game show type stuff like with each other. Like, it'd be fun. It'd just be fun.
I think, I don't know, actually now that we said that out loud, I just had the thought of maybe we don't do a 24-hour thing, because actually I don't remember. I wish they would speak more to this too. For certain people that would have to do like day in and day out broadcasting. Like, for example, Attack of the Show was literally your daily weekday news for everything that was geeky. They would cover every little thing for the electronics, and there would be news. Would be news, but then it's like, at the same time, it's like, man, what kind of strain does that put on a person?
Dude,
I don't want these people being burnt out.
That's the thing.
So yeah,
and that's probably what like contributed to them possibly like going away and that sort of thing, because like something like that would be super strenuous. Because honestly, I do like waiting for things. Like knowing about like certain things that are happening and that sort of thing, and then waiting for my favorite creators to actually cover what it is, because maybe they know a perspective about this thing that I heard about that I don't know or something like that. But so yeah, I'm like, I don't need everything like instantly, like now type thing. For example, game ranks, when they have like their one time a month, like at the very end of the month, all of the different weird gaming news and everything, and I'm like, yes, it's like, it's something that you look forward to every month, like kind of like a holiday type thing, and it makes it special. So it's not like this like everyday sort of like, because like one, it would be super straining as a creator trying to find like like just pockets of like gaming news everywhere and whatever.
Really?
And so that way, you make it super special. It's more meaningful because like you find more meaningful stories as well, because not everything's newsworthy, to be honest. Like, so yeah, I just, and I don't think I would watch it every day. Like, I get bored.
I don't know, like, I can see it getting boring or you growing out of it, but even then too, you got heck of people that either will get into it and be like, "Oh, what's this new thing?" just for it to be ending to the person like, "Oh, that's old news. I'm burnt out or whatever." I don't know. It's great what they're doing right now. I definitely want to see them expand on what they've been doing, and I don't know. You're always gonna want more. But even then, it's always a matter of what does that more look like. And I think with them being responsible and doing it before G4, they get a chance and an introspective into what people are watching, how they're reacting, and it really helps them to measure out, okay, what can we do? What can't we do? How do we keep this going? And even for the future, how do we expand on it? So this is a great time for them, but eventually G4 has to happen. And so I'm really excited to see what it becomes.
Sure. And when it finally like releases and comes out of the chrysalis to become a beautiful butterfly. Yay! Even though, you know what'll make G4 awesome? You have us on the show.
No, wait, hold on, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Bro, like I would be honored.
Like we don't have to have one of the suitcases or anything like that. It could be just like a one-off thing or whatever. But like,
I'd love the guests.
Guests. We volunteer ourselves as tribute for guests.
I ain't ready for that kind of. Maybe one day you can help me get ready. Guest spot. There we go. That's all I'm gonna put out there. Yeah. I would love to be on the channel. Don't get me wrong.
That's where we'll end this topic.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll end it there.
Next.
Scared me to death for that one. It's like, bro, I don't want them to see this video and going, well, we got a suitcase here. Like, no.
So much responsibility. Okay. So next topic. Video game prices. That extra $10.
Okay.
I feel like this is also kind of like see, like just basically this is okay. Here's our reactions to this extra $10. Is just groan, sigh. Why? Is it justifiable? I don't know.
All right, it got pitched to me like this, and also too, I came to the same conclusion as well.
Okay.
Not real. I didn't put it into words, but I think somebody helped by putting it into words. Express my feelings.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I forget where I heard it from, and I think it was either among friends or somebody that we watched on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I definitely heard it echoed on YouTube. Is the idea of putting more money onto the price of games feels redundant, because I thought the cost of the improvements came from the idea that we just paid money into a console to make up for that. Like the idea of better graphics, better this, better that came from the grounds of we put money into the console to help deliver that. Granted though, it's really hard to say that, because I know on the other end of that argument is, well, the developers put more work because they could put more stuff into the games. So that doesn't translate to a console. The console just makes it possible to where we could play it.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, but at the same time too, you guys are supposed to be working in tangent with each other about that. So is that really how that ended up working? Did you guys end up working in tangent to come up with that conclusion?
Sure.
Because I feel like really on some end, particularly, I'm sadly I'm putting the the brutal weight onto the console makers, Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, and so on, to make up for that difference. To be able to go, yo, we know you guys are putting more work, more effort into making these games. Especially now since some of these studios are tied to the companies now. They should be able to go and say, hey, look, we still want you to do that work and we still want you to get paid for that work. We'll make up for the difference.
Right, because the consoles can't survive like without games,
yeah,
and vice versa.
And that's the whole thing. It's like it should be that type of demographic. I mean, I don't know when it stopped being that really in the end of the day. Because I mean, back in the day, all this stuff was always new. And granted, we dealt with it back then too, because games used to be expensive back then too, or even in the idea of certain games were expensive back then too.
I remember when new games were like $30.
But that's, okay, yeah, that's what I mean. So like new games used to be like $30, even though granted there used to be old games too that at some point reached that $40 and $50 mark too.
Sure.
Depending on what the game was or what they supposedly supposed to make it better.
Yeah.
But that was the death of certain things too.
Right.
For example, Virtual Boy, was so expensive for really a very mediocre experience. That meant the death of that console. That console did not get any video game support. Really, the experience sometimes for people playing the game, even when they enjoyed it, was, this caused a lot of ache in my body as far as neck ache to adjust myself to it. Eyes get irritated and eye strain from just seeing everything.
Red.
Yeah. And it's like, but why was it so expensive? So eventually it would take loss in money to try to make up for the difference to go, but hey, now it's cheaper, right? Right. It's like, no, it's not even worth being cheap either, too. Yeah. So
it's uncomfortable.
And I think we're going to be reaching a renaissance if people are not too careful about that, to where the same thing happens again. Because look at it this way. These same games are slowly becoming more available on PC now.
Yes.
Particularly, for example, Steam.
Right.
Cool. My equipment never changed with that. My computer could render some of these things wherever at the same pace. You mean to tell me you're still going to try to charge me for that same price on PC? Some of them are not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, wow, you're just going to make your consoles look bad now because I got to pay a $10 extra charge to play this game, where I could probably get it cheaper on another platform that's already considered itself to be the master console.
Yeah, really.
Or even too, just wait for a sale, which is actually happening to a lot of these games too. So many games are not selling, even though they're decent or they're actually really good sometimes, because people can just wait for it to be cheaper.
Well, I think what's happening, and I'm not super business savvy, so don't quote me on any of this, but this is my perspective on what's happening. So you have the different gaming companies, and obviously the consoles can't survive without games, but also the games, I mean, not to say the games can't survive without consoles, but that's probably like the big way for them to get stuff out there, because they've got all the PRness and that sort of thing. Because technically, I mean, like, you don't really see, in comparison to say like PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, like, commercials, like, you don't see Steam commercials, just like advertising games and whatnot. So I think what's happening is on the three consoles, main console sides, there's probably a fee for those gaming companies and that sort of thing to be put with their brand and whatnot, and have exposure and being like a part of like the PR, et cetera, so that there's more eyes and everything like that, versus if you have the same game but being put out on PC, because there's no one master PC company. It's not like, there's no Sony for PCs, there's no Xbox for PCs. They're not charging like the developers for advertisement for their games, because they don't do that. They just advertise their stuff, especially since people are putting together their own PCs and basically having this big Frankenstein amalgamation of all these different companies and components and that sort of thing for that PC. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I feel like that's probably what's happening, is like with the raising of the prices, like the developers trying to compensate for what they have to pay Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft and everything for this exposure.
That's what I mean. But at the same time too, this is supposed to be like a beneficial thing for both of them. Both
yeah,
of them
and so and to your point, I think that the market in general, like the gaming market in general, just needs kind of a little bit of an overhaul of how they do things, so that it's more...
It's not even an overhaul. It's just an adjustment.
It's more adjustment and everything.
Because the end of the line is, I think, for some of these things is, yes, things are getting better. But at the same time, too, as things are getting better, other things from the past are just getting priced out. So therefore, certain things just have to take their place.
Sure.
For example, I know with the new Xbox, my Xbox controller is probably going to be null and void because it's probably not going to speak to that new Xbox. So it goes down the chain. But at the same time, too, it's like, all right, it goes down the chain and that goes cheaper and stuff like that. I shouldn't have to expect for that next thing the prices just keep rising. And as well as everything else that's included around it. And that's the problem, too, because I know... Even with the console makers, I know they take a loss sometimes when they make these consoles. Because technically, with the new PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox coming out, they probably cost too close to that amount that they actually charge for them selling. Even though we are in a market where these things are being oversold because literally there's only so many you have access to, or so many they can get out at a time to sell. But... Well,
also, like, you have the idiots who are doing like the whole, like grifting and that sort of thing.
It's not even grifting anymore. That's why I thought at first too, because I thought it was solely people.
No, it's not solely them. It's just a contributing factor.
It's a contributing factor, but that's the problem. It's a contributing factor that now companies are getting in on. And here's my example of it. We already have a PlayStation 5. I've been looking into getting the Xbox, especially now since with the announcement that Starfield which that makes sense. They bought Bethesda, therefore they should have some type of exclusivity with them. Trying to get that Xbox, and it's a hunt now. And I know people out there have their Xboxes and stuff like that, but there's still people out on the hunt. I'm alongside some of you as well. And I saw that it was available online from Walmart.
Oh yeah.
Guess how much Walmart was trying to charge for it? And it wasn't a bundle. And that was the whole thing, too. I looked into it, and I was like, was it a bundle deal or something like that? Nope. It was like $700, $800 some dollars. Just for the core system. One controller, the system itself, all that stuff. No extra games. No bundle with freaking Xbox Game Pass or Xbox Live. Gotcha. It was core. Yeah. Walmart was doing that. And I'm like, wait. And this was the kicker to me. It was like, okay, it wasn't that I just went straight to Walmart. I went to Xbox main page to follow a Walmart link because they said they had them and they were available, and they had it at that sticker price. And I'm like, dude, this is $200 more than what the actual system's selling for. How can you, as a person who's listed as a supplier from Xbox, all of a sudden bump up a $200 charge?
Yeah, it's not cool.
I even left them a message for that too. Even though I didn't tie myself to it and nothing like that. Yeah. Again, I didn't. At that point, I'm just not going to argue with you or do business with you. This is the price that Xbox had listed as. If you're a supplier of theirs, you should honor that price. But even now, we're starting to see that. You know what was a great example of this? That was really wild, and I got to hand it to Xbox because this is really. I couldn't believe they actually did this. This is a great example of exactly what we're talking about with this idea. Was Xbox made MLB, the latest MLB, available on their Game Pass. day one. A game that is $60 or $70, basically totally free to play from their Game Pass. I mean, you got to pay for the Game Pass, which is like, what, $20? So that's undercutting the game by $50.
It's like $20, $30, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So, literally, but yeah, undercutting that game by its actual initial price, day one. And this is after years of the game not being available to Xbox players. Because this was MLB series, the show, was exclusive to Sony. It was exclusive to Sony for, I want to say, at least, if not 5 years or more. So it was the first time in a long time that it was finally coming to Xbox. And Xbox was like, yeah, day one. It'll be on the Game Pass. This is how confident we are in our product and us and this system that we give to you guys to jump into with the Game Pass. This is how bad we want you to get into Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because we see this being the future.
Right.
That day one, we will get you a new $60, $70 game. Off the bat. That was wild to me. It was.
Yeah, it is. Honestly.
Yeah, it hit the news as an insult to Sony players. Which I was like, I don't know why Sony's insulted, or Sony players are insulted by it. If anything, the Sony players should have been looking at Sony like, well, what you gonna do?
Right. Well, it's probably what they were insulted. It was like, oh, I Sony, so you just go like, I mean, I got my PlayStation Plus. I'll get this for free.
I got my PlayStation Plus.
What's up?
What's up, Sony?
What's up,
Sony? Sony like, man, that's too rich for my blood.
Lol.
I don't know how they doing this. But yeah, I you know what, we're going to pay into it because you know what, I don't want this industry to go away.
Yeah.
I love video games.
Yeah.
Video games ate my life, but it makes my life a lot funner.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll pay the extra $10. But that's the whole thing, is you got to realize this is going to hurt the industry in some kind of way. It's going to be, and it's probably going to be the little guy. And I think that's the big problem right now with all this stuff happening. It's going to hurt the little guy. It makes less money available to be risked or taking a chance on a smaller developer who might have a good idea, who might have a great game on or a great series underway, but will never get a chance because they got to close shop because nobody's buying their game. That money took away from another game. And I think in a way the industry knows this is possibly going to be a fallout of that, and they don't care because they're trying to either hurt some industry from becoming something or taking money from their plate, because literally they're just interested in what they're interested in, which is, I don't know. It's really hard to say right now. Again, it's like the Wild Wild West right now out there. It's really crazy. And my fear is that I just don't want another bankruptcy into the video game industry. But I don't think this will be the factor to it, but this could be a turning point. This could be. But there's a saving grace. Right now, I think this is a good spot to take a break.
Okay.
We're going to end the part 1 of this podcast. I almost feel like I'm leaving it on a grim note. But all the more reason to catch our second part of this podcast, because hopefully I'll be able to lighten it up.
Woo!
Yeah. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button. Click the like button if you like this video. Use the comment section to let us know how we're doing. Whether, this is what you like, this is what you didn't like, Hit the bell as well. So that way you get notified of our next videos when the next time we drop one, which could be within... Actually, we've been speeding up a little bit more.
I've been trying.
Yeah. We've been speeding up a bit more. So, a little... Not to pat ourselves on the back there a little bit, but, you can count on us now.
I give myself a little pat.
There you go. I'll give you 2 pats.
Yeah. That's more than 2.
Well, I meant 2 hands.
Oh. Anyways. Well, guys, I'm Gamer Becka.
I'm Gamer Lynn.
And we want you to keep it 100. We'll see you in the next one.